You know, I think that there are certain things that happen in your life that you're going to remember for your entire life. I know for my parents' generation, it's when President Kennedy was assassinated. They both knew exactly where they were. My grandparents knew exactly where they were. And I think that's going to be the case with September 11th, 2001. I think wherever anyone was who remembers that day, they're going to remember exactly where they were when they found out. And it's particularly true for people who were living in New York that day, I think. I remember it as if it were yesterday. I was in fourth grade, and I heard sirens going all morning, and I didn't know why. And our teachers stopped teaching us that day. They just stopped teaching our classes, and we were playing games, and we couldn't understand why. We were just all confused. And in the late morning, our principal came into our class, and she sat us down, and she was really red because she'd been crying. And she just flat out told us that the Twin Towers were attacked. 2 planes crashed into them, and that they had fallen. And I remember when she said that to me, that they had fallen, it was like I was punched in the stomach. I couldn't believe it. I'd spent time in those buildings. I'd eaten dinner there. My dad had worked down there in one of the buildings that fell, not the 2 towers, but one of the nearby buildings. It was just unfathomable. These 2 humongous buildings that represented so much to the city, just gone. And I just didn't understand why. You know, the first thought that went through my mind was family. Is my family okay? I knew my dad worked downtown. I didn't know where, but I knew he did work somewhere down by the financial district, and he was fine. But you know, it was something unlike anything I'd ever felt. Just that fear and a lack of understanding why something had happened, something so terrible. I was lucky. I didn't know anyone personally who died that day, but I know a lot of people who did. And it was just a frightening day, and it scared me for a long time. We were let out of school early that day. Almost everyone was picked up by their family. I think we all just wanted to be together. And that was the case with my family. And I know that the next day and that night, the days after, were unlike anything I'd ever seen in New York. The streets were completely empty. There were no cars going anywhere. And there was just this feeling of togetherness in New York that you don't usually feel. Everyone was just sort of asking if you're okay. There were candlelit vigils on many corners, including mine. People were offering to help out for the most basic tasks. My mom even volunteered to help massage firefighters who had been down in the rubble all night looking for anyone, anything, any sign of life, anyone who could have been down there. It was just a different place. And I think you ask anyone who was there that day, they'll tell you that even if you weren't down there at all that day, like myself, I was miles away, you could still feel it throughout the city. You know, we would talk about it. We didn't have any course time dedicated to September 11th, but every anniversary we would have a moment of silence. I don't know if this was done at all schools, but every school I went to in New York, we had a moment of silence for the moment that each tower was hit by a plane, and then a moment of silence for each time that the tower fell. And even that happened throughout high school, and even at that point it wasn't easy to have those moments of silence. And I guess it feels a little unusual that for me, someone who was lucky. I came away from this without losing anybody. But I think that all New Yorkers lost something that day. You know, we lost a part of our city. We lost thousands of our own. And just a symbol of what our city stood for fell. And that's not easy to see. It's not easy to experience. And it doesn't heal quickly. I mean, I trust our security when I go on airplanes. I was very scared of flying for a long time because of September 11th. I cried the first time I went on an airplane afterward because I was afraid that someone was going to hijack it and bring it down. It wasn't easy. It took a long time for me to just get over that. And still to this day, I look up in the sky anytime I see a plane because I'm afraid that it's going to crash into a building. And I think that's just something that, and I when I walk down the street, I see other people do it too. So I know I'm not alone in New York. Other people do that. And it's just, I think, something that will always happen. I'll always do that because you just never know.